All right, Ryan, what's on your radar?
Well, on July 5th of last year, Haitian President Jovenel Moïse appointed Ariel Henry, a neurosurgeon, to be prime minister. On July 7th, Moïse was assassinated. In the hours after he was killed, we now know that Henry traded phone calls with a man who is alleged to be at the center of the operation. We also know, thanks to a recent New York Times report, that the alleged financier of the operation said that he only participated because he was told the U.S. had approved of it. Finally, it's worth knowing that the assassins were brought in by a U.S.-based mercenary firm. So with that context, consider this testimony given in March at a little-noticed House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing headlined Policy Recommendations on Haiti for the Biden Administration. This is a former ambassador to Haiti, Pamela White, being questioned by Democratic Representative Ted Deutsch.
I just want to address the position that's been emphasized by some of our witnesses and members here today, which is that any election or referendum that is overseen by the Moïse administration would automatically be seen by the Haitian people as illegitimate. We have seen on the ground, I've heard firsthand, human rights groups and opposition leaders maintaining that Moïse's term ended February 7th and an interim government is necessary to organize elections. Now, the question, Ambassador White, that I have for you is, if the Provisional Electoral Council cannot meet the standard of being free, fair, and credible, but the current president does not step down, how can Congress, the Biden administration, and the international community play a responsible role in ensuring that any election that is held is credible and legitimate, and in facilitating the public acceptance of the results, and in mediating between the Moïse administration and the opposition? That's what we're trying to do. I think that's what we need to do. Ambassador?
It would be nice if he would step down, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think that we sort of put him aside at the best of, in the best of all worlds, and we have a prime minister appointed that is non-corrupt, that is not from the political sector, that is not from the private sector. There are several really good candidates. I'm not going to name them, but there are several. And then we have this summit that we put out the OCEP, we have a summit where the actors come back to the table and we discuss how we can get the right representation in order to have a CEP that is credible. I mean, that is one solution that I can see happening within the very near future. I think the problem with transitional governments is then we're in that mess again, and it slows down everything again. It's not that in fact, I wrote a piece, or I talked to a piece in the New Yorker a couple years ago where I said I think that's exactly what we need. But I think right now we could use the prime minister option.
The prime minister option. So that video has been circulating in Haiti and among the scattered Haitian diaspora, but hasn't been previously reported on. So I reached out to Ambassador White, and she said she was stunned that anybody might think from her put aside comment that it meant she was suggesting something nefarious. Good grief, this cannot be true. As I said in my testimony, if he stays in power. No one in their right mind would think I had anything to do with his assassination, so no, I do not want to clarify a statement that was very clear. I have been proven right. Moïse was not presidential material. He had totally lost the support of the Haitian people, with reason. This entire saga is just unbelievable. You have more than enough nefarious characters to investigate. I am not one of them. So because Moïse's term had initially been delayed in starting, the president had been arguing that the February expiration of his tenure was premature and that he planned to remain in power until new elections were held. The U.S. was unsatisfied with that approach and was urging a faster transition. So White appears to mean, quote, put aside in the sense of hypothetically discussing the future of Haiti without him as an obstacle. But the phrase takes on new meaning given what happened less than 4 months later. So the comments have circulated in Haiti online, raising more suspicion on the island that the U.S. approved of the operation against Moïse. So as we talked about before on this show, a prosecutor charged with investigating the assassination revealed that Henry had had 2 phone calls immediately following the killing with Joseph Badiou, the man accused of having run the operation. The alleged financier of the operation, who was arrested Friday in the Dominican Republic at the request of the United States, had previously said in an interview with the New York Times that he only participated in the operation because he was told by those involved it had the approval of the U.S. After saying that there were several quality candidates for the prime minister position who could take power after the president was put aside, White suggested the next step would be to create a council with enough legitimacy to stabilize the government. The CEP, she mentioned, refers to the Provisional Electoral Council, which oversaw elections. In 2004, a, quote, Council of Sages, a group of 7 Haitian leaders propped up by the U.S. after the coup that ousted Jean-Bertrand Aristide, which was a U.S.-run coup. Henri was a member of the Council of Sages. Now, White was a Foreign Service officer in Haiti from 1985 to 1990 and served as ambassador from 2012 to 2015. Earlier in her testimony, White used a separate version of the phrase "put aside," which buttresses the idea that she was talking about how Haitian politics could unfold in his absence, not necessarily that creating his absence ought to be an objective. Quote, "It is difficult for me to imagine having successful elections this year in Haiti. Putting aside for the moment the question of President Moïse should have left in February or should he leave next February, I do not know the answer, but I do not believe that right now the necessary institutions are in place to assure a smooth transition. The USG, the OAS, and the UN have all stated that Moïse's term ends in 2022, but several Haitian constitutional experts, as well as Harvard, Yale, and NYU law school clinics, disagree," she testified. "Here are a few quick suggestions," she added. "If President Moïse will not step down, he should step aside. He must be completely transparent and honest. He must bring relevant actors to the table. A well-respected Haitian should be appointed prime minister. He or she should immediately dissolve the current CEP and call a summit with all relevant political actors to establish a legal CEP." So in mid-September, the Haitian prosecutor revealed the allegations about Henri's role in the assassination. Henri urged the prosecutor's boss to fire him. When he refused, Henri fired them both. Less than 2 weeks later, with the U.S. standing behind Henri, Daniel Foote, the U.S. envoy to Haiti, resigned in protest, citing in part the American willingness to back Henri. In late September, you guessed it, Henri dutifully dissolved the CEP. So in the New Yorker interview that White referenced, she expressed similar sentiments. Quote, "The Western solution to immediately hold elections in countries that have been controlled for decades by dictators and ruthless militias has never worked and never will. We need some creative thinking about how a country with low education and high poverty levels can function in order to provide basic services to its citizens. Elections are so corrupt and the people running so inexperienced that they cannot possibly be considered a good solution. In the best of all worlds, a council of well-educated and experienced Haitians would form a coalition government. It would include business and civil society representatives with senior Western advisors." She added, "A realistic development plan would be detailed so all citizens could see it with a realistic budget, no big fancy buildings, no fancy cars or lucrative travel budgets. A strong police presence would also be a huge help, especially if they were trained to render real services to the people, not only security. But if anyone thinks another election is going to solve all of Haiti's woes, they are sadly mistaken." And so in a follow-up email to me, White told me that she wanted to be clear she was speaking for herself. Quote, "Nothing, zero, that I said has anything to do with U.S. policy. I certainly do not speak for the Biden administration," she said, and then adding, "I personally wish that right now we, the U.S. government, had the guts to push Henri aside. He is not to be trusted." So Kim,
why can't we just leave things alone? You know, like what is our interest in Haiti anyway? You know, like at this point, why do we want to continue to destabilize this country? What is the point?
Well, I think we're, for one, still angry that they freed themselves from slavery a little more than 200 years ago.
That just seems so, that was so long ago. You know, it's like, get over it. I just don't feel like, I don't know, there just has to be something else there. For us to continue to want to meddle. I mean, even though, I get it, the U.S. government is saying, no, we had nothing to do with this, but all signs are pointing towards, looking pretty suspicious here. So what are we doing? Why do we continue to meddle in Latin America and South America? What are we doing?
And there are two kinds of American coups. There's the coup that we just physically carry out ourselves, like with Aristide in 2004. Like, we put him on a plane and flew him out of the country. Like, so that's pretty direct involvement, U.S. involvement right there. Then there's a coup where we kind of know it's happening and we're brought in the loop on it, and we're like, "This is cool, go for it. You have our blessing." And that seems to be the case in '92 in Haiti, and that seems to be the case with this one. That it's very, very, very difficult to believe that the United States, with its intelligence assets that it has on Haiti, had no idea that this was happening. And so
either that or our intelligence sucks. You know, I mean, they keep saying, "Oh, we had nothing to do with it. We don't know." You know, for a variety of things that they've done around the world. So, I mean, okay, why do you even exist then, CIA? I mean, if you're this bad at your job, right? At this point, either that or you're just not telling us the truth.
Right, and this wasn't planned exactly out in the open, but if you read a lot of the reporting around how it was planned, it involved, like we said, this Florida-based firm. It involved the now chief of police in Haiti. It involved these Colombian mercenaries that had to travel, all over the place to get this done. Lots of phone calls. Stuff is not all being done on encrypted channels. Like, this is the kind of thing that could easily be uncovered aside from all the human sources that they have. And so the sense among a lot of Haitians is that the U.S. knew that this was happening, and it fit with what White is saying. White wasn't saying just go kill the guy, but White is clearly saying there that it is in the U.S. interests for him to be put aside. And so the people that are then putting him aside can feel comfortable that they will have U.S. support after they do that. And in fact, they were correct, as Henri still does have U.S. support, despite the public allegations and the public evidence that he was implicated in the assassination.
Yeah, just wish we could leave countries alone. I mean,
That'd
that's,
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right. The other thing that has people suspicious, right before, not long before Moise was killed, he had taken a trip to Turkey, which is facing toward Russia and China, and so there was all this angst that, wait a minute, is this another country within our hemisphere that we're bungling so badly that now it's going to be out of our influence, and China and Russia and Turkey are going to be involved with them, and so all of these things mixed together, and here we are. All right, and we will have
why
more.
wouldn't they, right?
Yeah, but we'll have more Rising right after this.